Go tell it on a mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on a mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept their watching, O silent flock by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. So go tell it on a mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on a mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed our Savior's birth. So go tell it on a mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on a mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger our humble Christ was born, and God sent us salvation that blessed Christmas morn. So go tell it on a mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on a mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Go tell it on a mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on a mountain that Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born.
What does Christmas smell like? When you close your eyes and you think back to your childhood or your happiest times or your most impactful times around Christmas time, what's that smell that stands out? The sense of smell is a very powerful scent. We don't think of it as a very strong sense because we are visual focused. We are a visual medium people, or secondary, we are an auditory medium people. We never think about our sense of smell, but man, that sense of smell creeps up on you. The last political campaign I worked on, there was, we had this office that was like broken up to 3 different sections, and we all kind of claimed our own little spot when we were doing the phone banking. And one of my field organizers, she took this back room spot, and she had this vanilla wood wick candle. And every time she lit that, just the thickness of the smoke and the smell of the room and the candle all came together. It reminded me of the Fedora Presbyterian Church and their coffee time following fellowship. Somehow, that smell was the exact same smell as that church. And even though I hadn't been there in a decade, every time she lit that candle, I'm like, I'm back at the Fedora Church. But what does Christmas smell like? For me, Christmas smells like the Black Hills of South Dakota. We used to go out and pick our own Christmas tree, and we just climb through the hills. We get a permit, I think. My family wouldn't break the law like that, of course. But there's just a specific smell. It's cold. There's something really weird about how things that smell good could still travel in cold weather, but things that smell bad always smell worse in warm weather. I don't know if there's science behind that, but in the cold, in the snow, all the nasty stuff that would smell bad, like there's a lot of iron bogs that have a very distinct scent in the Black Hills, all those get washed away, and all you smell is the Black Hills spruce or the ponderosa pine, and it just has this scent that reminds me of Christmas. Sometimes I can find a juniper candle that smells pretty close, but nothing is quite like that. So as we explore our Advent meditation, I want you to take a moment, pause the video, and go and find that Christmas scent. Light a candle, bake a batch of cookies, do whatever you have to do, because your body will remember. We can't gather the way we've gathered before, we can't travel the way we've traveled, but we can bring about that feeling. So now that we've properly prepared ourselves through scent memory, this is the Sunday of joy. What does joy mean? What does joy mean to you? There's lots of different ways to express joy. Working with youth is a very joyful ministry. I'm very happy I don't work with youth anymore. I much prefer adult ministry, but we always think of youth being joyful. Man, there is a lot of anxiety when it comes to working with youth, especially as you get older and they get older. I worked with a lot of really brilliant kids, and I experience joy when I see them reach their full potential. I see kids graduate from college, become teachers, become doctors, become lawyers, and man, I feel old knowing that I have former high school youth that are now doctors and lawyers. I don't think they should be that old, but they are. And each and every one of them, I feel joy that they met that potential, but each and every one of them, I'm not surprised. I knew they would get there. The youth that make me feel the most joy for are the ones that I worry about. If you've ever done any form of youth engagement, teaching, ministry, what have you, you always come across those kids who you love with your whole heart, but you worry where they are going to end up. You see them make poor decisions. You see them walk down a bad path, and then you lose touch with them. And you worry. Your mind will go back to them over and over again. I think my biggest joy in ministry, either youth or adult, is times when those kids that worried where they would end up and where they would be when they became adults, when they left the house, when I lose touch with them. When they reach out and they tell me that they've made it. They may not be doctors or lawyers. They may not be famous or rich, but they found a place of comfort. They found a place of stability. When you worry about somebody's life and livelihood, whether or not they would end up in jail or hurt, and you hear that they are doing good, that's a different kind of joy. And that's the type of joy that so often gets overlooked because it's so weird to brag about, oh, hey, my greatest success in ministry is that this person is okay. But from where they came from, that's important. And we should still celebrate those ones who found great deals of success. We should still celebrate the ones who reached the top of their... But it's just as good, just as important to celebrate the ones who don't have to fear anymore, who don't have anxiety. If you go back 2,000 years to the world that Jesus Christ was born into, the people he came to, the people he came for, were living on the edge. Think of all of the sick people he healed. The man who laid lame for several years by the pool at the temple, when he got up and walked away, he didn't walk off to become the governor. No, he walked off to become just another guy. But we celebrate that because he was lost, he was without hope, he was without direction, and now he found something more than he'd ever hoped for. That man felt joy. As we come to an end of 2020, it's been this big joke that 2020 has been a dumpster fire, that 2020 has been awful, that 2020 has been just bleh. It's more important than ever now for us to find those reasons in this year, in this time, to be joyful. What are those little successes that we never saw coming? What are those little things that meant the world to someone? Because that's the heart of joy in the Advent season. We have to prepare ourselves to see those little joys. We have to be witness to those little joys. We have to share the good news of those little joys, because that's practice. That's practice, because when Christ comes into our lives, when Christ transforms our lives, it isn't always going to be this, oh, I was this alcoholic evil sinner and now I'm the Pope. No. The good news comes in small ways, small, joyful little ways. So after this, I want you to just take a couple minutes, comment in the comments section or write it down for yourself. Think of 5 little joys that you saw this year. 5 little celebrations to lift up and give thanks for. Because that is the spiritual practice of this Joy Sunday.
That Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born.